Babylon was still celebrating the night it fell. That's what makes the story feel almost impossible. One of the most powerful cities in the world sat behind enormous walls, protected by wealth, military strength, and decades of confidence. From the outside, Babylon looked untouchable, the kind of city people assumed would outlive generations. And inside the walls, life continued like nothing could ever change. Music, drinking, crowds, light pouring through royal halls, while an empire convinced itself it was still fully in control. But outside the city, another reality was already moving closer. That's the unsettling part. Babylon didn't collapse during panic, it collapsed during normality. The leadership still believed the walls were enough. The system still believed its power could hold. And the longer that belief lasted, the less prepared the city became for what was already happening around it. Because powerful civilizations rarely collapse when they feel weak. They collapse when confidence blinds them first. And maybe that's the detail history remembers most clearly about Babylon. The city wasn't sleeping when it fell. It was distracted. What was happening inside Babylon that night while the empire moved toward its final hours?
Babylon trusted its walls more than its warnings. And the confidence wasn't irrational. The city was protected by massive fortifications, deep supplies, and defenses strong enough to convince people that no invading force could break through quickly. As written in historical accounts from the period, Babylon had prepared for long sieges before. Survival inside the city felt possible even under pressure. That belief shaped everything. Life continued, celebrations continued, leadership continued acting as though time was still on their side. But confidence can become dangerous when it stops questioning itself. As written in Daniel 5, while the city faced external threat, a royal feast still filled the palace halls. Drinking, displays of power, public confidence, it all continued while pressure closed in outside the walls. The atmosphere feels almost disconnected from reality. And that contrast matters, because systems often appear strongest right before they fail. Not because the danger disappears, but because people become too convinced their structures can handle it. Babylon believed its walls created safety, but walls only work if the system behind them stays alert. And that's where the cracks begin to appear. Because while the city focused on celebration, something was already changing beyond the gates. How did Babylon lose a city that seemed impossible to conquer?
Babylon didn't fall the way people expected. There was no massive breach, no dramatic destruction at the gates, no long public collapse unfolding street by street. The city was entered quietly. That's what made it terrifying. Historical accounts from the period describe invading forces redirecting parts of the Euphrates River, lowering water levels enough to move beneath sections of the city's defenses. While Babylon continued functioning inside the walls, the threat was already moving underneath the protection people trusted most. And the city barely reacted at first. That detail changes everything. Because Babylon wasn't destroyed by weakness alone, it was destroyed by assumption. The walls created a sense of invulnerability so strong that the possibility of failure stopped feeling urgent. And once a civilization reaches that point, danger becomes harder to recognize even when it's already happening. Daniel's account remembers the same night with a different focus. While the city celebrates publicly, warnings begin appearing inside the palace itself. Fear enters the atmosphere suddenly, interrupting the confidence that had filled the room only moments earlier. Different perspectives, same pattern. the system realizes the danger too late. And maybe that's what makes Babylon feel so modern. The collapse doesn't begin with chaos. It begins with distraction. Because while people focus on what feels stable, the real threat often enters somewhere they stopped paying attention to long ago. What did the people inside Babylon realize once they understood the city was no longer secure?
Once people realized Babylon was no longer secure, the atmosphere changed instantly. Confidence disappeared faster than the walls themselves. A city that had felt permanent suddenly felt exposed. The same streets filled with celebration hours earlier now carried confusion, fear, and uncertainty. Because the danger wasn't outside anymore, it was already inside. As written in Daniel 5, the shift inside the palace happens almost immediately. The confidence of the feast collapses into fear once the warning can no longer be ignored. The king's reaction changes, the room changes, the mood of power itself changes. And that detail matters. Because collapsing systems often look stable right up until the moment belief disappears. Babylon's defenses had not only protected the city physically, they protected it psychologically. People believed the empire could absorb pressure forever, and once that belief broke, the structure around it started feeling weaker too. That's what made the fall so shocking. Not just that Babylon lost, but how quickly certainty disappeared once people realized control was gone. And maybe that's the darkest part of the story. The city didn't have time to emotionally adjust to collapse. One moment it felt untouchable. The next, survival became uncertain. And when societies lose confidence that quickly, everything underneath them starts shifting too. What exactly died the night Babylon fell, besides the empire itself? Babylon didn't only lose a city that night, it lost the illusion that power could last forever. That's what makes its fall so enduring in history. An empire that looked permanent from the outside collapsed while still believing its strength would protect it. The walls stood, the wealth remained, the celebrations continued. But underneath it all, the system had already stopped seeing its vulnerabilities clearly. And once that happens, collapse becomes much harder to prevent. Because civilizations rarely fail only from external pressure. They fail when confidence becomes blindness, when warning signs become background noise, when stability feels so normal that nobody notices how fragile it actually become. Babylon became the symbol of that pattern. Not just power, but overconfidence. And maybe that's why the story still feels unsettling now. Every generation believes its systems are more secure than they really are. Every civilization assumes its structures will keep holding. And most of the time, the collapse doesn't feel obvious until it's already inside the walls. Babylon thought the danger was outside the city. By the time they realized it wasn't, the empire was already over. If this changed how you see the fall of Babylon, subscribe, like, and share your thoughts below. Because the deeper you look into collapsing empires, the more you realize how often the first thing to fall is the illusion of permanence itself.